welcome to Nixon Park. My name's Kelsey, this is Brandon, and this is Mike Smith, published author and musician. We're going to take you on a hike through the forest at Nixon Park today. We're going to be talking about some of the cool things you can see in nature along the way, and Mike is going to teach us a little more about our connection with nature. Come along.
Okay. I thought that was good. Connecting with nature. Yeah.
We found some of the first jewelweed or touch-me-not flowers blooming along the side of the trail. This will be some good nectar for hummingbirds and bees that are coming along this way. Here's already a seed pod showing us why it gets the name touch-me-not, as the seeds explode into the ground when you touch them.
So the nature itself can be a score of music, and oftentimes what you can do is you can, perhaps the sound of a river, hear that differently. We hear the river so often that we never really associate it with as being a score of music. So if it were a score of music, if it was playing, what would it be playing? What would the song be played that it plays? It would probably play a song that offers peace and stillness. So the flute, I kind of add that to the score of the song. It's almost like we play together. I hear the sound of the river, the sound of the stream, that becomes a partner in the song. And then I play the flute on top of it. And together we make music. And it sounds like this.
We made it to the top of the geology trail.
Woohoo!
The rock formations you can see on top of this outcropping are visible because of weathering and erosion. The roots of trees can split rock. Ice can form inside cracks that cause them to expand and split. Water and even wind can carry pieces down the ridge where the stream meanders and erodes the banks.
We're going to talk about change, and the beginning of change is usually wind. And wind is something that we are aware of, and we sense and we feel, and we just call it wind is what we do. What is there before the wind? That's a big question. It's a beautiful question. So wind comes along, it touches the sky, it moves the rivers, it moves rain upon rocks, which changes the formation. One giant art piece moving and moving and moving is what happens. Immersing yourself with the wind instead of fighting it, listening to it and becoming part of the wind can create a connection for you into nature, and that's a beautiful place to be. So this beautiful flutes is, for me, always sounded like the wind. It offers that, and it sounds like this. If you listen, it's wind itself that actually makes that tone and sound. So wind is perhaps the very first painting of any artwork that we would look at in nature.
We found some awesome white rocks here on the trail. These are actually not rocks at all. This is a mineral called quartz. When molten rock or magma begins to cool under the Earth's surface, various minerals found in the magma crystallize. If silicon dioxide cools to a temperature below 1063 degrees Fahrenheit, it crystallizes into quartz. This is vein quartz, a quartz that formed in a crack in the Earth's crust. As the magma rose towards the surface, it cooled and crystallized while squished in a crack. That's why it doesn't have six-sided crystals like some other types of quartz. There's really cool other neat geological features here at Nixon Park that you can explore with the self-guided geology trail. Found some striped wintergreen that is blooming and about to bloom. Found another really neat flower. Take a look over here. Right here we have a flower, a native plant called Indian pipe or ghost pipe. Often people think it's a fungus because it's white, but ghost pipe is actually white because it doesn't have any chlorophyll or the cells that use photosynthesis from the sun to make food. Instead, ghost pipe here saps nutrients from tree roots through the fungi that is underground, helping the tree roots absorb water and nutrients. This plant absorbs the nutrients that the fungi got from the tree roots. The tree makes food from sunlight, the fungi gets the nutrients from the tree roots, and then Ghost pipe steals it from the fungi. This is a cool little flower. Sometimes it's pink. As it gets older, it's going to turn dark brown. It's pollinated by bumblebees, and some people think it might be eaten by bears. Pretty neat. We just found some really neat haircap moss. It's really beautiful right here behind this tree in the forest. Mosses don't have roots. They have thread-like rhizoids that hold onto the substrate. So they don't transport water or absorb water with anything like a plant would, like roots. They take in carbon dioxide, water, and mineral nutrients right over the whole surface of the plant. When the air's not moist, they dry up and they stop growing. Now this moss right here has these cool sporophytes right here, and you can see the spores actually coming out right now of the capsules. The capsules are holding the spores. They're held up by this stalk above the leaves, and the spores are going to go out into the forest floor, and they're going to grow into new tiny algae-like plants when they're triggered by moisture and light. Wow, that's so special to see the spores coming out. Neat.
We've come across a huge thicket of spice bush. Spice bush is a common understory shrub in our region. It can be identified by its fragrant spicy leaves and stems and by the berries growing on the female plants. The fruit will ripen and turn bright red from July to October. They are high in fat and will be eaten by a variety of birds. Spicebush is a host plant for the caterpillars of spicebush swallowtail butterflies, which can be seen right here. They eat the leaves until they are ready to become a butterfly.
Okay, so we just heard about caterpillars and how they digest leaves and then they become butterflies. I'm in this beautiful place here where I feel like I'm in a cocoon of nature itself. And if you really think about it, how do we let go into our natural state of presence, our natural state with the senses? Oftentimes we go into nature. So you'll find that when you're walking on a trail, you'll come to a place like this, and while you're walking here, you're not going to be thinking too much about where you have to go tomorrow, what you did yesterday. You'll be very similar to just the caterpillar. You'll go into your cocoon here. Nature can be your cocoon. And then when you go back out of the trail, you become your own butterfly. And that's what nature does for you on many different levels. Yes.
Species of oak, like this northern red oak, dominate much of the forest in our region. They can live up to 400 years and begin producing acorns at about 25 years old. These acorns will become food for all kinds of wildlife, including squirrels, deer, crows, and blue jays. Any acorns that are left behind or buried and forgotten could grow to fill an empty space in the forest canopy.
What's amazing about the tree is that there's an entire story that takes place there. If you stand in front of a tree this large, you'll see the tree, but then you'll feel a story that takes place. There's a whisper that goes between you and the tree of a conversation that is beyond the mind. It's beyond knowledge. It's just something that takes place. You can touch the tree and actually feel the story of this tree, of everything that Brandon just said. All of that takes place, along with the history that takes place. The Native American flute was actually first carved from the branch of a tree. As the wind went through it, an Indian heard it, and he then copied it, and it took him a while, and he found the sound of the tree. And it sounds like this. if you listen, you'll hear the sound of a wood thrush, which actually sounds like a flute. So the flutes are kind of interesting. I, at one point, remember a time when I was going to go take the flute and play to the river. And then when I played, I realized that I wasn't really playing to the river, but that the river actually became my score of music. And my essence touched the river, and then my breath became what the river was. And then the flute exhaled, and the sound came out like the river. So what you can do with a flute, which is kind of interesting, or any instrument, or even yourself, is you can look into nature. And you can collect its energy, you can collect its story, you can collect its song for you. And then you take a breath and you play back to itself like this. Okay, thanks for coming along on our trail. I brought flutes, and I played flutes. That was my instrument. So when you are here, what I would suggest doing is, if when you come here, bring a book, do poetry, do art, do song, or capture what you see here and take it home. And how will this help you create in your life in different ways? So there's no way it has to be. Just enjoy nature and what it offers you as a creative person.
Thanks, Mike. And remember, there is 11 York County parks that you can visit and hike. They're all free to visit and hike. We encourage you to get outside exploring like we've been doing with you today. Thanks for coming along.